welcome to Foiling 101. I'm really excited to share with you just some things that I actually teach every single one of my apprentices, assistants, new stylists on the floor, or somebody who has been balayaging for years and years and is just getting back into foiling. So I really hope that you're gonna pick up some really incredible techniques that are gonna help you not only with your everyday work, just improve your everyday work, but even with the time, so your speed and how fast you are, also the quality of the highlights, help prevent bleeding and slipping of the foils. There's so many things that can go wrong, so I really hope that this is just gonna kind of eliminate those things for you one thing at a time. I wanna start by talking about a few tools, and the reason I use these lovely chopsticks is that they are basically the exact diameter of your tail comb. So the tail comb that I use for sectioning and everything else is the same thing that I'm going to use here. And also, it looks aesthetically cool. It looks cool, but when I'm working tight into a section, I don't have to unclip and reclip that section. I could actually just push this chopstick all the way out of the way and start working really nice and tight in that area without having to worry about the clip that I have to unclip and reclip back into the hair. So it is all about function, but it's also a little bit about style. I like to use as flat of a clip as possible, so I stay away from anything that's super clampy or really arced. When it comes to clips, I like to work really clean, so it just is about keeping everything really clean and tidy. And then I use my YS Park comb. Tools to me are about what feels good in your hands. And that being said, there's different brushes that you can use. So obviously there's like a huge array of brushes that you can use. There's angled brushes, there's the smaller brushes, there's your standard size, and then there's like the big guys. So that really depends on not so much foiling specifically as it is really yes, your pickup and the amount of product that you're laying on the hair. So my lightener of choice is Blonde D'Or. It is just well as multi-purpose lightener. So the foils that I use are Reynolds 711, and the standard size is I just cut them in half. You can pick it up at a lot of beauty supply stores, but they come essentially this size right here, and I just flatten them out, make sure they look nice and pretty, and then you would just tear them right in the center. And then what you're gonna end up getting is 4 of this kind of foil, this size foil, which is essentially the same ratios as a standard size foil, but just in miniature form. Super cute, little minis. And then that way when I'm working in these areas and I have that little lip here, right? I can very easily work within those baby hairs and not have all this excess. It's when you don't have a lot of excess hair, but you don't have all of this excess foil weighing down those sections, slipping your foil away from the scalp. So don't ever neglect any details, but especially those details around the hairline, which is why these little guys come in really handy. So essentially, I'm working my way towards placing my foils at a diagonal back here, and then pivot my sections until I get to here. So those pivoting sections are going to create more depth, more brightness around the hairline because I'm pivoting a smaller pivot here, but I'm pivoting a wider pivot. Now, when I am doing a slice, you really want to make sure that the amount of hair that you're picking up, you can still basically see through it. So if your client really wants her hair to look like it's growing out of her head that way, and that there's very little root to be found, you're going to want to place your foil, or you're going to want to take your sections rather nice and fine. If you're taking a heavy weave pickup very liberally, like this, and deeper, this is going to be where your foil sits, here, not here. You never want lightener to go above this line in your foil, because when it does, then that's where you can get, again, those bleed marks, or basically the bleach creating little bleachy spots on areas that you don't want, like areas other than the highlight. So whatever is going to give you the most perfect result, but the fastest, that's what you're going to work on more and more and more as you foil. As you do like 100 foils, you just start to be like, okay, like how can I make this more efficient each time I put that foil in? Which is why I don't put my tail comb in my foil. There's nothing wrong with it. But I actually just already have it folded, making sure that your tray is on the side that your hand is, so you can easily grab your product and apply. Rather than having to reach over, do anything awkward, it still saves you time at the end of the appointment. So if you notice your foils are slipping, but if they're slipping as you're folding them, there's something you're doing in this folding motion that's actually pulling the foil away from the head. So I'm pinching the side of the foil with my thumb and keeping it really nice and steady. And then I'll work my way down the foil like this as I work my way on the ends, using my hand as the board behind the foil. Saturation is everything. If you're not saturating a section all the way through, you're not going to get the same amount of lift. So then I go in and I'm going to place my 2 fingers right here and here. And that's just going to hold the foil exactly where I want it. If I had an assistant, they would stand behind and just place a finger here and here to hold it secure. So it's clean and I'm not picking up more product. And that's where I go. And I just apply the product gently up to the edge of the foil, and you can use your brush vertically. So now for her, she has such heavy hair right here. I'm actually going to do the foil on top and then one single fold because I just do not want the bleeding in that area. And then my hand underneath, folding it just a hair deep and just a hair deep on this side. And then if you have a little bit of extra foil here, still stay within your section. Now on the hairline, I always do an anti-gravity fold. So that is incredibly important, is that little anti-gravity fold, especially on this much hair in a hairline. I feel like we can go so in depth with so many different foiling techniques and how to create all of these different looks. But first of all, if you don't have the clean foiling or the skill set to really work efficiently and quickly through your sections without having that slip away, that's going to be, you're going to have a challenge within everything else that you do. All of it really just up levels you as a stylist when you learn to work really clean and really, really neat and really detail oriented. If you do end up getting it slipping away a little bit, you can always push the foil up a little bit further and wedge that hair down, not using a ton of product, but just kind of pulling the hair back down onto the foil and inching that foil up to the scalp. Now when I'm folding the foil, I'm not actually looking at the fold that I'm doing. I'm actually looking at this root area to make sure that it's not slipping away. So I fold the foil here so that I'm not pulling the foil away, I'm actually pushing the foil towards her scalp. I would say that that's probably the number one thing. Now when you have this big of a foil, your nice wide foil, it can be hard to really kind of keep it really nice and tight to the root, especially when you're working on a bit of this, like, it's slightly curved section. So you can see I'm wedging the foil up on each side, holding the foil tight down, gluing the hair on. If there's a hole in your foil, do not proceed further. This is what you might do. Real life moment here. There is a hole in my foil. So I definitely do not proceed further, because if I do, you're going to end up getting a bleed mark on this hair from the underneath, because the lightener is going to go right through the foil and you're going to have a nice pretty spot right there. So don't proceed further. And all you have to do is lift the foil up, place your new foil underneath, and then pull the hair out onto your new foil. So I'm going to wedge the foil up in this corner, start painting towards here, and then as I'm going around the foil, I'm wedging the foil up in the opposite corner. Pinch at the bottom, but there's a lot of product there, so my pinch is very gentle. Hand underneath, teeth of the comb, and then teeth of the comb. There's your fatter foil. You really want to address each situation one foil at a time, right? And just kind of be preventative and proactive, one foil at a time, always growing yourself, always stretching yourself, increasing or decreasing the time that it takes you to foil, but also increasing your precision and getting it more perfect in less time each time.